Good evening. Welcome on this almost fourth Sunday of Easter. My name is Kevin Barger. I am the Director of Music at Epiphany Lutheran in Richmond, Virginia, and this is a Music Minute. And we use this time to just sit back and relax and listen to some music and learn a couple fun facts about our hymns that we will be singing in worship tomorrow. Today we're actually going to get some hymns that we are not singing in worship tomorrow. Being as tomorrow is Good Shepherd Sunday, as the fourth Sunday of Easter always is, and there are just so many good things to do. I'm going to spread out a little bit this week and give you some information on the hymns, and we'll hear some of them, and then we'll hear something that's actually not being sung tomorrow. So we'll start with our gathering hymn tomorrow is Good Christian Friends, Rejoice and Sing. This hymn and tune were actually written to go together. Unlike last week where we had the love song in this Joyful Easter Tide where it was written for another purpose and then we kind of made words fit to it later. These were actually written to go together. This tune is often confused with a Christmas tune by a very similar name that also starts, Good Christian Friends, Rejoice. So the same four words, but they are very different tunes. And they're both joyous, but the Easter one's a little bit more punchy. It leads to that Alleluia. And I like to call it a roller coaster. You'll hear in the end, it takes us an entire line to sing Alleluia, and it's basically just a C major scale with an F sharp thrown in, but it goes all around to get there and takes an entire line to do that. This was written by Cecil Arlington, and he was an Anglican deacon and then a priest following that. He was actually a very prolific author, and he was featured on the cover of Time magazine on June 29th, 1931. So there you go, that's been around for a while. So I think you'll recognize the tune. It sounds like this. Very often we would sing that as our gospel procession at the beginning and the end of the gospel procession on Easter Sunday. So I hope you enjoy this. This is a fun arrangement of it, and just sit back and relax and enjoy. So you can really feel the roller coaster the whole way through that. That's a fun piece to play. All right, so we'll switch out then. Keeping with our Good Shepherd theme, our next one is The King of Love, My Shepherd Is. I'm going to bring my falling apart hymnal over here. This one is probably the best known hymn setting of Psalm 23, although there are several. In our hymnal, it actually falls in the Holy Communion section. That's because stanza 5, which reads, "Thou spreadst a table in my sight, thine unction grace bestoweth, and oh, what transport of delight from thy pure chalice floweth." So it is us and communion at the table of the shepherd. The triplet feature, which you probably would recognize in this if you hear the... I know we did this in choir a couple weeks ago, and it's some folks' favorites. Here's your triplet. So it's a very relaxing, and the triplet helps move us through to the next part of it. Nearly a century after this particular setting of Psalm 23 was written, there was another one which was written to the tune Brother James Eyre, which we also sing and is also in our hymnal, but that was about a century later. And then the third version of this that actually came was a setting by Isaac Watts, and it's to the tune Resignation. And the reason I give you all three of those here, in the reflection for this, we are actually going to hear all three of those tunes to this Psalm 23 setting. So this is called Shepherd Songs. So very relaxing moments that help us remember the wonderful words of the 23rd Psalm. Our sending hymn tomorrow will be one that I suspect almost everyone knows. and that is What a Fellowship, What a Joy Divine. And I'm actually not going to do any variation on it today. I'm going to save that for tomorrow for the hymn, so you can sing out and get a little gospel piano in there. But I do want you to know that Anthony Showalter, for whom the tune is named, actually was born in Virginia, so that's yay. And he wrote the words and the music to this, but it was a very sad event. So it's not unlike the times that we are experiencing now. He actually wrote this in response to two friends of his whose wives had died and were being buried. And as he pondered that and wrote to them, they were far away, these are the words that came to be. And he really wrote the refrain, the part that you know, the leaning, leaning, that's what he wrote. And then he had his friend Elijah Hoffman actually wrote the stanzas to go with it. This is probably Anthony Showalter's best known piece that we almost all know and recognize. And this was actually sung at his funeral. He died in Georgia. I'm not exactly sure where in Georgia, but he was in Georgia. And they had 5,000 people at his funeral, and they sang this particular tune. So to close tonight, we're actually going to move over to the organ. And being, again, the Good Shepherd Sunday, we're going to move to Shepherd Me, O God. And this is a more, it's certainly more contemporary and more in the now that we have. Marty Haugen wrote this. And he was not trying to write a paraphrase of Psalm 23 particularly. So he was really struggling with a way to make this different. And then the suggestion came to, what if you turned the word shepherd from a noun that we all think of being in the flocks, watching the sheep, into a verb. And that's where he came up with Shepherd Me, O God. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to play a fantasy and fugue on this. It's a little bit longer, but I know some folks wanted some music that you can just listen to, so you can listen to it now, and maybe you can come back to it later during the week if you'd like to hear it again. So I hope you enjoy it. It's a great piece, and you'll probably recognize this tune too. We've certainly done it here. So I hope you enjoyed that and found some peacefulness as you listened to that. So this concludes this week's Music Minute, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow in worship. We do have several offerings again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. There is Legos and Learn in Zoom format. There's also our coffee and donuts in Zoom format at 9 o'clock as well. Those links were included in the email that went out earlier today. And then there's also Sunday school opening with Mr. Scott and myself at 10 a.m. And then, of course, worship at 10:30 here on Facebook Live and also on YouTube, again at 10:30. So I hope you have a great evening. I hope you got to enjoy the day. It was beautiful outside, and that you have a very restful evening. Thanks so much for joining us.